Should be good.
Good to start?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Carolyn Hobson.
Here.
Anna Murphy.
Here.
Callie West.
Here.
Sean Henry is not attending. Carrie Wiesen.
Here.
Michael Brennan.
Here.
Cloud Clark.
Here.
All right. Carl Ayers. Not here. And Keith Knoll.
Here.
Okay. Welcome, Cloud Clark.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes from August 6th, if everyone got a chance to review those.
Yes.
Any changes, anything? Nope. Can I get a motion to approve?
I first want to thank Callie for taking minutes.
Oh, that's
You
right.
seriously made my month.
I
I will motion to approve the minutes. So I'm back on it this week.
Second.
All right. Second to that, so minutes are approved. And then next we have public comment for non-discussion items. Is anyone here to discuss items not on the agenda? Sure.
Hi.
We're interested in knowing what the prioritization process is going to look like. When we were at the trustee meeting recently, they were wanting to look at all the park priorities. I know Jeremy had a big list, et cetera. And they ran out of time and also energy, and they decided that they would reschedule it for a study session in September, October. And so we have two questions. What do you know about how that works? And then what's your role in it? Because we think your role is really important. And if you need us to go say that at the trustee meeting, we'll gladly do so. Then the other questions are just what's going on with Wagner Farm Park and what's going on with Wolf Farm Park. Where are we at? And I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keith, do you have anything to say to that?
For the park priority meeting, I believe that's slated for September 16th. So, and that'd be a study session with the board. It's still a public meeting. I don't. They're not really making an action or something. I'm sorry. I need Carl here to go through that. I've only been to a couple of them. But yeah, usually people get up and give public comment and they get feedback, and I feel like there's more questions asked, and kind of just get a time to kind of talk sometimes we do them at round tables, and I'm assuming they're going to be up here as well. So typically for this one, I haven't heard anything about the port committee being like invited to sit up there with them, but it's always encouraged for comment. I'm sure your comments in still. So at that time.
I just wanted to point out that in our Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 Port Committee minutes, there is a summary, a debrief from the Joint Port Committee and Trustee study session, which was held on Tuesday, October 1, 2024, where Port Committee members and trustees talked about port priorities. So there's a reference there if you want to know what was talked about a year ago as far as priorities.
I would encourage them to invite us because I thought that was really worthwhile. And I think the trustees commented that they thought it was productive too. I mean, if that's the topic, is the topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is just park priorities.
Yeah. I thought it was worthwhile to work at kind of as a team.
I think it's I don't know where it's at right now, I guess, with who's invited and if it's in like that. So I believe at this meeting there's going to be some, I think, cost and money that's figured out since like the pool designs. And I think we're just going to look at the master plan and look at everything again and make sure, okay, this is the direction we're going to move forward. Right now we're still we're moving in like, okay, the pool design and then the arboretum, but has anything changed now that we have some more costs in front of us? Maybe some different options. So that would be the park priority meeting. And the second question, you had a second one, Sarah.
Oh, the role of board in that, because you guys took part in last year's, and so we were wondering if you were gonna get to take part of this year's. And we were hoping, and so just let us know, I mean, all right, let me know. And then it was just an update on Wagner Farm Park.
Okay. For Wagner and the Arboretum, we're expecting, I guess, 90% construction documents to be sent over at any time for us to review again. So I'm not sure exactly what's changed since the last time, since the 60% and all the comments that went into that. So that's there. Over the last couple months, there was a lot of comments for the 60% design, and that's what that design team's working through and making the changes. And then I was hoping to have an update maybe in October for the port committee, maybe something to share at that time on any maybe design tweaks or things that we've learned about. They're really dialing in the plantings and the planting plan, and we're having really good conversations with how to get mature trees in there. And so Paul, our town forester, is identifying trees within town properties that, hey, this would be maybe a good one we can tree spade and place in the arboretum. So it's not just a bunch of small trees, but maybe there's some bigger ones out there. Brainstorming a nursery idea for different phases of the arboretum. So those are kind of the main talks going on right now. I mean, for example, the parking lot, the gravel parking lot at Wagner Farm Park right now, that's going to be turned into a paved parking lot. And there's a lot of trees within there that can be pulled and hopefully put in the arboretum. So I think that's what we're kind of working through as staff right now. Yeah. But hopefully we have something in the next month. I think we're hoping that the final documents are all done by November. Everything keeps getting pushed a little further every time we talk to them, but that's the current update for that.
Without Carl here, I don't know if there's any other avenue for us to ask or request to be part of that meeting, but I know that some of the port committee members have voiced their want for that. So if that's something we can communicate to town staff or the board and see if that's a possibility to be included in the meeting other than just public comment.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
can ask for that. And then for Newell Farm Park, we have a conceptual design proposal out right now, and I have to check because the date was yesterday for anyone who was interested in it to send me an email. I was in training all day yesterday, so I'm catching up. But as of last Friday, we had probably 12 companies that had reached out interested in possibly submitting a proposal for this. And so we're working through some questions with them, and then hopefully at the end of September, I believe it's September 22nd, is when we're supposed to have all the bids back from them that we can review. Hopefully select someone to work with at that time.
All right, any other public comment? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to our discussion item, Jaskowski Conceptual Design.
Okay. So at earlier board meeting in August, we finally took the conceptual design to the board. It took a while, so I actually wanted to go back in time a little bit to share the presentation I brought to them because they've really only been involved at the last meeting, and the conceptual design process started in 2022. So this will be a quick presentation for everybody. And then I don't think Michael's not been out there yet or know of this property maybe.
No, I do.
You do?
Yeah, it was discussed at one of the earlier meetings.
Okay, perfect.
Dogs and shooting and
Yep.
all the things. Yep.
Yep, so we have 78 acre property northwest corner of town. It was acquired from Eileen Jaskowski in 2012. It's under a conservation easement that's rather restrictive. We've had multiple meetings with Colorado Open Lands, and that's what I'm hopefully gonna share some of that feedback tonight with y'all. It likely was put under this. It sounds like it was when it was put under the easement. That was like 2002 or 2003. It was really unknown who was gonna, take over the property at that time. The town took it over in 2012. It sounds like it took a while for someone to acquire the property, and they had reached out to other people. But the feedback we've heard is that the easement was too restrictive to take it on. I mean, the town, I believe we got it for $10 is what the contract says. So retriever dog training was historically performed on the property, and when you read through the easement, you hear it's brought up, and she, I believe, trained poodles. And if you Google her name, you can find some old news articles and pictures. And so there are these ponds are where some retriever dog training took place. So the process in 2022, the port committee discussed the property and we kind of wrote out, okay, what do we think we want at this property? In 2023, we talked through that with Colorado Open Lands, and there's a lot of that we've basically they needed a picture is what it came down to. Like, okay, we got to make sure we're talking about the same ideas here. So that's what we started in 2024, actually drawing that picture out with Wink. And then in 2025, with you all, other than the north portion of the property, which we'll talk about today, we kind of finalized, I think, an idea for the property. And then Colorado Open Lands reviewed that. And then that's what went to the board. Here's some earlier design that we all looked at together. I think disc golf and a farm always stayed here. These ones shows them. There was a potential art studio. These were earlier ideas that were thrown out. We had a massive disc golf course at one point, and then we also had like a dog park fenced in. So we saw these all usually as a group, probably these two as a group, and we picked one to kind of focus on, and then we refined that. And that brought us to the design that we have right now. A working farm on the west portion of the property. The ponds would stay ponds with possible wetlands enhancement, so maybe some extra seating. And then the right side was going to be the 18-hole disc golf course. And then Port's recommendation was to continue pursuing the possibility of dog training on the property, kind of exploring it still. The trails for the property would maybe be in the middle, and then the east side of the property, the west side being the working farm. There's a farm access road, but we would not expect that to be an open walking access at the moment, based off where the design's at right now. Now, if that's something we think should change, we can look into that. And then we had some parking schemes put together. We all decided scheme 3 was the best one so far. This can be refined more, but mainly you have, we use this for storage. And so if you have a trailer and stuff pulling out of here, you need space to pull it out. When I presented to the board, I showed where these kind of fit on the priority list. So we had 9% of people ranked it in the top 3 during the survey for disc golf. Retriever dog training is it's definitely a different, it's not, no one listed retriever dog training as an option at that time. And I believe I looked through and couldn't find any written in responses for retriever dog training. But that's the type of training we're talking about on the property. But then I guess the unique thing is the 3 least important future amenities. I think I meant to circle disc golf. So it's kind of a unique thing. People, you had to pick 3 amenities and you had all these pick through, and 19% added disc golf in there. So that was just what I thought was unique with the survey. This was done, of course, we picked our stuff back in 2022 to do with the property. If everyone remembers, the survey was from 2024. At the board meeting, I discussed a little history of the dog training in the area. Lawn Haggler, which is just north of the Jaskowski property, used to allow it. And then Parks and Wildlife reviewed their properties and determined they didn't want dog training at all. Or they wanted properties are meant for hunting and fishing, basically Parks and Wildlife properties. And so dog training interferes with hunting and fishing in a way. So they decreased the amount of properties they had for dog training. Cobb Lake is north of Fort Collins a little bit, 35-minute drive, probably more than that. But it's a large property with some ponds and stuff on it. And that is open to all types of dog training. And that gets into even more hunting dog training. And you can fire weapons out there. You can release birds out there and that you're wanting to train with. So we're not looking for that much at the Jaskowski property. We're just looking to use the ponds as retriever dog trainings. So the board feedback, we were going to talk about these options: disc golf ponds, the farming, the buildings, and we discussed the port recommendation to consider a trial period for dog training on the property. So that was opening the property up before it's basically developed. It's not, we're just in a conceptual phase of it right now. The staff recommendation was to not open the property to training and basically wait for it to actually be developed. And, we went through the whole process of approving a design and then having what we don't do in this phase, the conceptual phase, is we look at, some of the codes and stuff are looked at that are important for when you're opening up a property. When you start doing the construction documents like we are for the Arboretum, that's when the design team is really diving into all the building codes and state codes and ADA codes and all those things, making sure we're hitting all those marks. So we're not really in that phase right now, but at the board meeting, hoping Carl was there so he could support that I had the right thing, the right stuff on here, finish the conceptual design, give some more input on the north half of the project. And then the board seemed very supportive of continuing the dog trainings, exploring that possibility, and possibly looking into how can we do this in 2026. So it's not something, I don't think we're ready to do anything like next month with the dog training, but it is something we're slightly looking into 2026 as staff. And that's one of the questions we're going to have for the board in a couple weeks during the study session after they lay out the priorities. Do they want staff focusing on opening up this property, and we'll hopefully have a little more feedback on what we think that would take, staff time-wise. So, let's see, we've been through the design. I was going to give you a quick run through current design we're looking at. I'm just going to list out a quick presentation for y'all, and then we'll go back and start talking about the north half. So the north portion we really haven't focused much on because there's these buildings there, and it's always been fine. I believe Port's comments are pretty general, like staff can really figure out what to do with building. It's not really your guys' responsibility to say, hey, demo some buildings or anything like that. We're not asking you to say things like that. This is the complex part about having a former residence, and there's a house, there's a extra garage, there's an apartment building, and then there's a large arena barn on the property. And part of the reason staff doesn't want to open the property up to the public yet, like today, is because we want to figure out how do we maybe secure these a little better than what they are, since they are wide open out there. Some quick thoughts when we're talking about the north side, and if we were to open this up for 2026, what are some quick things we'd probably need? We probably need portable restrooms. We probably need an automatic gate that can be controlled without staff having to open and close it. We need to look into the parking situation. There's asphalt there. There's a little parking there in a way. The unique thing talking with our engineers about it is the parking is off a building. And technically, if parking is off a building, code says you have to have 88 parking spaces. But this is kind of an open space, and so it's not really, the parking is not for the buildings, it's for the open space area. So we're not sure if that all still works together, I guess. If we still have to require ADA parking, or not in this case. Having some extra lighting added to the property, and I'm told it's not as easy as just pulling the electricity from the house. You'd have to set up a different supply because you don't want to pull the lights, like overhead lighting. You want to set up light poles. You want to pull electrical from a different source, so the lighting would have its own electrical source. Fencing, maybe there's additional fencing that can go around these buildings, and then cameras. And I'm hoping a lot of the conversations with staff and Port and the board, it's a lot of, okay, why can't we do that? And we're trying today to be like, okay, how could we do it? So we're not trying to say like no on anything, just bringing up what we're talking through as staff as we go through this. So this was a quick exercise I put on a new staff member we have. He's our public works project engineer. And, I just asked him, hey, here's a property. If we were to open this up to the public next year, what would need done? So this is just looking through the Berthoud development code if a developer was going to create a park in Berthoud. And so there's just a bunch of options here. So maybe this will bring up some things we might be missing in our design. So I'm not a professional at planning and development. Based on the size, so like there's pocket parks, there's neighborhood parks, community parks, regional parks. They're supposed to choose from certain things. So it might say like, hey, at Pocket Park, you have to have everything from list A in there. Or a little small park, you might need everything from list A. But if you start getting into community park, you need like everything from list A, and then you need a few items from list B. And as you get bigger, you need more stuff. So here's just some items that are typically found even in development parks, like electricity, irrigation, the lighting, trash cans, water, bike racks, landscaping. There's shelters. And when the developers do this, they have to hit a requirement to, be compliant with the development code. So they have a list of things to choose from within our code. So as you start getting into larger parks, you get some bigger amenities like basketball courts and water features, trailheads, spray pads. They can choose to add some art, shuffleboard, disc golf, horseshoe pits. So hopefully just showing you additional options. A lot of times when we start getting to a bigger park in town, like a regional park, and I think we typically try to say that's over 5 acres, the town is usually okay with taking those parks over. And those are parks that we kind of go in and say, hey, we want these amenities. I think Trails at Creekview is an example of that. And years ago, that's a development on South Berthoud Parkway, little south of Hillsdale. I believe that's going to be a regional park. And so at that time, years ago, pickleball was very popular. And we said, let's put a pickleball court there. So I believe there's going to be a pickleball court there as we were trying to get more pickleball in town. So that's a park the town will take over when that development actually builds out. But we're not interested as a town to take over every little pocket park and little playground and things like that. So here's some more convenience items: grills, benches, drinking fountains, more trees. So I asked him just, okay, here's this property. If you're looking at our development code, what would a developer be required if this was their park that they were going to build for us? And what I'm showing in red are just things that aren't included in the design right now. But per the code, you need certain parking, you need certain shelter sizes. I mean, probably trail signage and things like that. That would be, of course, something if we did trails, we'd have trail signage in some way on the property. But there's some extra things in there that, the town doesn't have to follow these codes when we develop our items because we don't have to follow them to a T. We pretty much, you end up hitting most of this stuff when you build a large park. And some of the items like an actual restroom and not a portable restroom, those ones get you a lot of points. Those are, of course, because those are expensive amenities in parks, bathrooms. So there's a handful. Everything in red would be missing from a park that maybe a developer would open that, or the town would typically open from the conceptual design at this moment. So I was looking a little confused.
I have a question.
Yep.
At what point is the conceptual design consultant, when do they get this list? And why isn't it in the early conceptual design?
They like Wink Design. They know the list. I would say. So a lot of these items you start putting in during the construction document phase and not in the conceptual design phase. I would say these are the little details. Like with the Arboretum right now, they're showing us like a little corner where two trails meet, and they're like, we put a trash can here and a sign here, and we'll spend 20 minutes talking about it sometimes. But that's that's when you really hash out the details and how you're going to make it work and follow all of the codes correctly. So this is basically just a list of amenities. But I'm mainly wondering for you all if there's anything on here like, hey, make sure we should probably have something like this. I think at the board meeting we kind of went through. I think we need to have a longer discussion about opening up the property next year and maybe trying this reservation trial period. And so maybe just one more quick discussion. Maybe it doesn't have to be a long one, but just, okay, do we want town staff trying to figure out a reservation system for allowing dog clubs to reserve the property for a day and come out and train? And that's all that would probably happen on the property. I would say if we're going to get into the other amenities like trails, we'd probably want construction drawings done in some way so we know gradings. I think Colorado Open Lands would probably want that, and that's going down a whole nother nest of what they need before we can do certain things on the property. So, as an example, I think we all like the disc golf. I'm going to go back to the board feedback. One of the options I heard, okay, if we want to try to open this up in 2026, maybe we're trying to do too much at once and maybe it needs to be a phased approach. And I don't disagree with that because the disc golf is a difficult thing talking with Colorado Open Lands about it because they'll allow it. But those conversations have been, well, you need to irrigate the land so you can take care of the grass because we don't want social trails to form on the property. Little dirt trails. Well, this is a ton of property to irrigate with sprinkler. I mean, this is millions of dollars in sprinklers, probably $1 million. This is bigger than the Arboretum right here, and sprinklers and irrigation. That's a expensive task. It sounds like we can't grade the property any differently. Like these have these little hills, high points and low points. Because grading the property would require to reseed, and it sounds like they won't let us reseed unless we have irrigation installed. Because they've allowed other properties, conservation easements, to, scrape the ground, and then when you try to seed without irrigation, you get a lot of weeds, and it's a 5-year battle or more if you're trying to do it without irrigation. Even the Wagner Farm Park and Rec Center, that's going on 4 or 5 years now, and even with irrigation, we've had some areas that are just difficult compared to other areas. So when you're ripping up 35 acres, they're going to want to see a solid management plan for that. So it sounds like that would be difficult to accomplish in 2026. Yeah. But then getting some trails in, I think the layouts of the trails have all been approved. Usually during the construction phase, we'd start, really hashing out the drainage and if everything works out, slopes wise. So I think retriever dog training is in the ponds are going to be okay. I don't think it's a 7 days a week thing. It sounds like it's more of a few days a week. So you're managing the wetland areas and you're not allowing too much impact on the ponds, even though that's what they're made for. So I'll talk more about the north half. I'll let you guys kind of give your input.
Can I just say this back to you so that I make sure that I'm understanding what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we recommended to the board that they consider opening it up for the dogs early,
Mm-hmm.
and the board said no, but if we can secure the buildings and maybe do it in a phased way, that maybe then we could open it up to the dogs in 2026. And then the list of amenities that you were showing, those were the things that need to go in the first phase with the securing of the buildings and maybe looking at the dogs. Am I understanding that right?
You combine a lot of things.
I know, I think
Okay,
I'm confused.
so-
Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess starting with the first question on the dog training. So the board, I think, was in agreement. We're not starting the dog training yet, but maybe in 2026
Okay.
we try to figure this out. When it comes, we told them we would bring back what we thought the north area needed before it was opened up. So additional fencing around the houses, maybe some cameras and lighting and things like that. We still have to get into that a little deeper, And then I wanted to bring up that list of amenities just to show you even more things as we talk about this north side, so we can get them maybe in the drawing if you guys like them or not. So we have a final drawing, I guess. So the goal today is to finalize it with ports. Because we took it to the board. I think we had this drawing at like 80% complete to where we were at. We don't have the north side figured out. I think the rest of the property was kind of hashed out.
Okay, so the amenities were specifically for the north side.
Yeah, we're throughout the property, like benches. Those will go everywhere around the property.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get you guys the list so you guys had, you knew all the amenities. Because usually I'm just asking you guys, like, pretty blank, what do you guys think should go here, but I wanted to give you guys more items. Yeah.
Okay. Also, another question. So I wrote down what I thought you said, so if you can say it back to me.
Yes.
Too. So you said the staff recommendation was to not open dog training on the property and to wait until it's fully developed.
Correct.
So, but then you're saying the board is saying that they're saying to continue to look into this.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and that was the board's.
There's a mismatch, right?
The board's our boss, so
Okay.
we follow them.
Okay, but staff is not recommending to open the dog training until everything's ready to go, but the board's saying keep looking into
Keep looking into it.
it. Okay.
Finish the design.
So what's the urgency to open this to the public in 2026? Is it just based on the board's recommendation? Is it all related to dog training?
I think there's a little. I think the urgency starts when everyone's like, brings up we've had the property since 2012 and it's not. I think there's that we need to figure something out. I guess that's where the urgency comes from. Now, the jog training groups have, I think, kept the momentum going, and I think everyone, the board agrees. Okay, that's what the property used to have. Let's try to keep it going on the property, and I don't. I mean, I think it's easy from the outside to just go, well, just let them use the property. But I mean, we haven't. I mean, that just kind of started. I know this year. The goal of this year was to get a concept done. It wasn't to open up the property. So as staff were like, okay, we didn't plan for that. We planned to just get a
And
design.
that's kind of why I'm asking, because I know we've been talking about this for at least 3 years,
Mhm.
but I don't think this is a priority of Port or the board, at least from the meeting from a year ago, the joint port meeting. I mean, obviously trails and open space are a priority. So we want to keep this thing going, right? Because it's been dragging on forever.
Mhm.
But I mean, like, what's the end goal? Is it to open it, or is it to finalize the conceptual, and this is what Port is recommending to the board to like proceed with, and that can include the amenities. But like, are we really trying to open, or are we just trying to get the conceptual more hashed out?
The conceptual more hashed out, and I think we're waiting on more direction in 2 weeks to confirm. Do they want us to really focus staff time next year on getting this open to the public in some way?
And I do think it makes sense to, like, the dog training, as Chris Kirk would say, is the low hanging fruit. Like, if you can open it at not a significant cost, like put in a gate, dirt parking lots, and do the bare minimum, then you can at least appease one group and you sort of get the ball rolling. So I understand, to me it totally makes sense to wait longer on the disc golf. That's more complicated, that's going to cost more money. So I do see, if we could easily, make it open to the public through the reservation system so it can at least partially be used.
Mhm.
I understand, like, that makes sense to me. A question I had was, as far as the rest of the property goes, could someone do dog training there tomorrow? Like, as far as the natural areas, like, would any work need to be done beyond sort of the parking lot if someone wanted to train a dog there?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't think so.
I mean, it's the property is pretty much the same as when we took it over.
So it could be fairly simple.
Mhm.
Like, if you just needed parking and simple restrooms. Obviously, the buildings are not simple, but okay, that was
So
sort
would
of
people be able to access this property as well while the dog training's going on, or how would they know dog training's happening? Or is
Yeah.
it just for dog training, or is it for trails too? Like,
Yeah. I think we're floating around the idea that dog training, the park would be closed except for reserved dog training, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
So it's
So
not
that's-
open to the public then.
Right. I know the two groups, the disc golf group, the dog group. They're like, hey, you can do it all at the same time. I think when we're looking at it, town perspective, it's probably better not to. Just so it's a little more controlled. I do a little dog training, and when you go to the property, it's dog training. It's 100% dog training. You don't have someone out there throwing frisbees. If we already have what feels like enough issues with our own off-leash rules that we have, and because we are pretty lenient here in the town with the off-leash rules, and so we have areas where it's allowed and it's not allowed, and the areas where we do not allow it, there's a lot of that still goes on, and we get a lot of complaints for it and stuff like that. So it feels like two things that don't mix together at the same time. it'd be nice if there was like a little more separation. I don't know, a fence or something like that, so we can maybe have them both at the same time. But yeah, it's a unique property and unique amenities we're working on doing. So, and it feels like we got to get into the mix. Like the dog training, it's not supposed to be a commercial activity either. So we got to make sure no one's. I got to look back at how it's worded. It's because there's parts of the easement that sound, because she lived on the property for a while as the easement, so she was allowed to do certain things while she was still living there, while the town still owned it, and sometimes it's listed like that in the deed, like, while I'm still living here, I get to do these things, and then sometimes it's listed as we want to keep these things going on the property in a way. So again, gotta hash out. It's a new type of thing, new type of, I guess, amenity.
I have a comment. It's in support of what Carolyn suggested to just get something started, even if it's just a small scale, so that the energy about nothing happening, the perception changes a little bit. And I think it's an ideal opportunity to work with a group that's super well managed, very trustworthy, willing to work with us, that it's a learning opportunity of a really small scale, ready to go activity that we can be learning from. I mean, it would take conversations with that group while it's happening to get their feedback and say, how's it going? What should we adjust? But I think it's really hard to get an opportunity for really small, well managed group and activity like that. So it's an opportunity. And I had my takeaway from watching the last board meeting, the comment from the town administrator was, we never open anything in phases. That was my takeaway. I don't think those were his exact words, but that's what happened with the bike park. That's what's happening with Town Park. I think there isn't a lot of argument for not phasing in something that's pretty doable right now with really low risk and won't take a lot of expense to get up and operating. That's just my comment. It's just like, we're so constipated on it. It's like just anything.
Yeah, and we wouldn't work with just one group. It'd be open to all dog groups that want to use that, because it wouldn't be exclusive. It'd be a reservation system, so anyone can use it. But yeah, it's the tough part of, let us get the design done first, and then we'll open it up type thing that we were trying to work through. And I'm sorry it's dragged on a while. But we're working with Colorado Open Lands. I mean, we just got more feedback from them in July regarding the property, and it is a long process for this one specifically.
I can just add in, because you threw the word risk out there, and really, you don't get a lot of opportunities where you have low risk and you have willing parties that are very interested in getting their outcome while playing by the rules. And I think that this offers that kind of testbed opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do an in-stride evaluation and say, okay, has this worked out? Is this amenable for everybody at the table? Or do we have challenges? Are we running into friction points? And then furthermore, as I think this has been discussed multiple times, is that this property is kind of out in the back 40, and a lot of people don't even know that it's part of Berthoud. It is, as the dog training is occurring, okay, is this starting to garner interest in other activities, i.e. disc golf, i.e. trails opportunities? And then we kind of use that to kind of do a pulse check and figure out, okay, is this something that we want to go phase 2, phase 3, whatever it is? Or is this successful as a standalone dog training facility? Just some thoughts.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I do think, to Anna's earlier point, like, I think, this definitely is nowhere near the top of the list as far as parks go as a priority. So, without knowing the full financial picture, but given what we have learned recently, like if the town's considering taking out a COP to fund a very large, 20, 30, 40 million dollar project, like then these sort of down the road projects, certainly, if that's in the works and Wagner and, there's a lot of very expensive things in the works. So if we could get this open in a small way in the meantime, because realistically to like fully develop this all at once could be a very long time down
Yeah.
the road.
And I don't know if I confused everyone by maybe this slide confused everybody. I mean, I'm not arguing about trying to get it open or pursuing that, but I was just sharing what I had at the board meeting, so you guys were just being transparent that you guys made a recommendation, staff didn't agree with it.
Well, and I
they-
totally
and then-
understand
and-
not wanting to open it before you have those basic.
Yeah.
Like, I totally agree. You can't open it tomorrow. And there are some basic things that need to be put in place. But I feel like we don't have to have disc golf done to open it to dog training, I guess.
Mhm. And that's kind of the big change that came from the meeting, the phasing process, I thought. I think from the meeting I got continue looking into the trial dog training thing, and then also looking into phasing, trying not to do too much at once. And I thought that made sense. So if we try to focus on trial dog training, trails, and then disc golf next, kind of in that order, is that something that would work? So, yeah,
So-
go ahead.
Why are trails more difficult to accomplish than dog training? Like dog training, you have to have a reservation system, which has not been created yet. Trails, you just got to throw on some class 5 and make it happen, right? And it might cost a little bit of money, but it's not like a huge price tag to add trails.
Right, and I don't know what
So
the
I'm just wondering, again, kind of going back to like, I'm still confused about whether or not this is open to the public or not. But
Right.
You want to have a quick win for a lot of people in town. In my mind, that would be make the trails, open it up to the public, and the public at large can use it.
Yeah, I think when you start getting into trails, you add in an official parking lot lighting. We can talk about whether it's a real restroom or not. Portable is probably still fine. But I think with the trial dog thing, we're trying to talk about, okay, we're just going to use the existing parking lot. But I think once you add the trail aspect, like the reservoir has how many spaces, and we'd want to hash it out a little more. So, personally, I think maybe dog training can happen with minimal changes out here, automatic gate, trash cans, portable restrooms, something like that. Trails, I think you got to make an official parking lot, bigger parking lot that can handle it. Maybe cameras get involved.
And I guess maybe that's what I'm wondering is, should we be talking about how to get it more to that parking lot setup where, like, talk about the buildings that we have.
Mhm.
What are we doing with those? We've talked about that for the past 5 meetings. Like, can we hash out some of this stuff so we can say, okay, here's our temporary plan. If dog training's what we want to recommend, that's fine. But then, like, what's the next step? Like, what are we doing with the buildings? What are we doing with parking? Like, what's our
Yeah.
post initial rollout plan? Like for the actual public, you know, like that's what I'm interested in talking about too. Like the conceptual.
And the only decisions we got to make tonight are on the design, on the conceptual design. So I can give you some kind of quick shooting out there what to do with the buildings. The arena, probably keep it for now.
Okay, I can tell you what we've talked about for the last 5 meetings.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Like, we've talked about the same thing, what we want
Yeah.
to do with them. So can we, like, actually finalize that and give a recommendation to the board and say, this is what we recommend to do with the buildings?
Yeah, you know, and it's a good. So at the board meeting, I was asking for specifically house arena, and we didn't talk about buildings at all. I felt like.
Although
I
I feel like some of the board members said, just tear them down. Like,
Some
I definitely
did.
heard some.
I can tell you right now because I looked it up.
Yeah.
Like what we've talked, Is that okay? Can I share what we've talked about?
Let me try to guess first, because
I mean,
I
it's basically what you've said for the past 5 meetings that are
Yeah.
in the minutes. So go ahead.
I'll start with the easy ones. Okay, the garage. There's this extra garage here. We leave that for town staff. This apartment building would be a future possible restroom site because there's all the utilities there. I think the arena and the house are the two. I'm blanking on them. I feel like it was just leave it for now. I mean, ideally the arena would get demolished for parking, but we also don't have to demolish it, and we can continue to use it for storage too, which we're kind of at a need for.
But then there was the safety issue. If we leave the arena, then it poses a safety issue, and so we kind of do this back and forth every
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Of like, yes, it's great to have this arena because it's a good storage spot and we can put stuff in it, but then it creates a safety issue, and so town doesn't want it because then it's creating obstruction of being able to view the property, which limits people being able to use it. So, I mean, I feel like we do this circle each time we talk about it.
Yep.
And so, I mean, we don't get to make the decisions. We get to make recommendations, and we've recommended to open it in some way. And if that requires taking the buildings down, then I guess if the town staff feels like that's what needs to happen in order to open it, then that just needs to be decided.
Mhm.
And that's not our decision, I don't think. I think that's the board and town staff's decision to just say take the buildings down, or no, they're not a safety concern, we keep them for storage. So I don't know if that's what one of the decisions you're wanting us to make. Those buildings are
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you what I thought we needed to do with them.
sure.
Yeah. And at this time, I think the house and arena stay just for now. But then, and I don't think we're not going to develop a bathroom right away at that one bathroom location, but that's a future phased in bathroom location possibly. And then the little storage shed is great to stay there too for staff.
And
Store
then put up a
things in.
fence to separate that area. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, we'd think so. Looking at this scheme 3, I don't necessarily think you need this extra. I'm not sure if you need this extra little circle thing. I don't know if you guys can see
Yeah.
the extra turnaround point, but we might just talk with the designer about maybe getting rid of that and maybe starting the fence somehow in this area.
Did they say they needed that for like a truck turnaround? I thought there was a reason we did need that.
The main
Emergency and maintenance.
Yeah,
access?
there was some reason
And that
that
could be.
somebody had to have that.
But we would try to modify this in a way, and then probably put a bigger fence over, off towards the house, like that. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to come to you today with like, hey, let's. I'm not trying to disagree with anything totally today. It's just we're not.
I think we all probably, when we opened our email, were like,
Here we go.
Well,
again?
ideally, the way we were trying to do the conceptual process was it goes to the board, it goes to you all, you guys get it pretty close, we take it to the board, and then we bring it back to port. And then they finalize it. But it just took 3 years.
Well, I think part of the problem is that we don't have any input about the buildings. I mean, we can talk about it, but it's really not, we're not tasked with deciding what to do with the buildings. So,
But why can't we make a recommendation?
well,
why can't
it'd
we
be
say
great
this
if we
is what-
could. The recommendation would be just do something. I mean, what's preventing the town from deciding what to do with the buildings?
They're waiting on us.
Or I mean,
Or
we're,
they haven't
Make a
they haven't
recommendation.
had to make a decision, right? Like,
Yeah.
because you're not doing anything about it tomorrow.
If
so
we
it's
can provide a recommendation to the town that
theoretical.
can help them take the next step and say, okay, let's now do this. Right?
Uh-huh.
Can we just go like building by building
Yes,
and vote
let's
on
do that.
what we want to do? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So arena.
Well, I think we start with the easy one, which is the house.
Okay.
So we've had 5 meetings since 2022, at least since I started. 1 in 2022, 3 in 2024, and 1 in 2025. This is our 6th meeting. So the house seems to be the least controversial Staff has recommended to keep it. I think Port also recommended to keep it in one of the minutes. So, do you all support that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The next one, which was probably the second least controversial, was the apartment. It's apparently, and Keith confirmed, it's in poor condition, and there was a recommendation by staff to tear it down and turn it into a restroom because it's already got that plumbing. So that would be like, we're talking about temporary restrooms right now. This would be that, like a permanent restroom facility.
It'd be demolition for now,
Yeah.
and then
Demoing
future
it, and
site.
then
Mhm.
whenever, if we're talking phasing, okay, you could phase that in, right? At a restroom. So that was the second one. I guess the other two are similar. The arena. So we talked about this at all 5 meetings. The first meeting, recommendation by staff to demolish and convert to parking. There were concerns about security, lighting, and gated timers. The next meeting, arena demolish and turn into a parking lot. The next meeting, safety concerns were raised. Locations not ideal, convert it to parking. The next meeting, someone asked if the arena could be turned into recreation space, and Keith thought that was not possible. There was also concerns that the arena is blocking views from the road. And the last meeting in March, barn/arena, question about whether or not the indoor recreation space was possible again, but convert to tear it down.
Mhm.
So pretty much most of the meetings, the recommendation has been just tear it down. Mostly due to security concerns. And then the garage, that was to tear it down if the town doesn't need it. And there was also discussion about maybe having the town have a unified public works building. But I think
out there. Yeah.
you haven't got there yet, and so if it's kind of like if you guys need that for storage, I think Port was supportive of like if you need that building, take it. Otherwise, tear it down. So,
Yeah.
Does any of that sound?
It all sounds familiar.
Does it sound familiar? Like this was
It's
bugging
true.
me. I went back and tried to find where we talked about
Yeah.
this, but maybe we could just put that into a motion for each of the buildings, and so at least we have a direction that we'd like to see the board or staff or whatever act on, right?
So
So
do
can
we
I
need a
summarize?
motion? Yeah. go
Okay,
ahead. That's
so this would be what the motion would be for. The motion would be to keep the house, to tear down the apartment and eventually convert it into a restroom, to tear down the arena and convert it to parking, and to basically, let's say, let the town staff decide if they want, like, keep the garage for now, and if staff don't need it, tear it down.
and fence off the existing buildings that are staying.
Fence off the, existing buildings, yep.
I would be in favor of that.
Second.
We need to
I think we should see if everyone's in
vote on
favor.
that.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
that is the recommendation of Port in terms of the buildings.
Perfect. Got it.
Thanks.
And then Port's supportive of the possible phasing of the property and development.
I think if the board I would go along with their recommendation, phase 1 to start dog training and trails. And there'll be phases within phases of that. And then phase 2, disc golf. That's pretty much the way that their summary is kind of, I think, what we've been talking about.
I got all that. Yeah.
Can we make a motion on that? To Callie's phasing?
Callie, do you want to make that
Recommendation?
motion?
The motion is to go along with the board's recommendation to have a phase one, starting with dog training and trails in 2026, and phase two, adding disc golf at some point.
So who
She said
Callie
yes.
motioned?
Carrie seconded. So, Carolyn, are you in favor?
All
Yes.
in favor?
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And maybe just to add to this conversation too, talking about disc golf, dog training, trails, and farming were the topics that we've talked about for the past 5 meetings. And pretty much at every meeting, we talked about we want to see the farming continue, and that's in the current plan. We want to see disc golf be pursued. We want to see those trails. And then the dog training, I think everyone wanted to keep seeing that through, although there was caution on the wetlands and looking at exploring the pilot program, which is what we're kind of doing.
Pilot program, yeah.
So,
We do have people here in attendance, and I wanted to, we did make some motions, and I think we maybe got ahead of that because if anyone has public comment on this, we should probably let them speak.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you want to
come
say
on
that?
up.
He's good.
I've been here a few times.
Yeah.
So again, I'm David Helt, Lead Valley Retriever Club. So, a few things I was here tonight. The gate system coming in or out. I know we talked about that earlier. We're fine if we need to put a combination lock on or something, so our members can get in there and work that out. If there's other dog clubs wanting to come in, it sounds like they're going to look at that too, and I think that's great. Figure out a way they can contact us or Parks or whoever with the combination to get in there. We're willing to do that. I know they talked about the restrooms. Like we said, the last 3-4 meetings here, we will spend the money to put the porta pots in there, so that shouldn't be an issue until you guys get whatever you want to do. I know we met with 2 or 3 guys out there, walked perimeters and wetlands. We discussed a lot of that, where we should be able to go and, what the town or the board wanted to see. So we're more than willing to work with whatever needs to be done. I know we discussed it, not, tearing down the cattails and stuff, working the way, the entryways that are already designed in the ponds for dog training. So, and we would love to see things get going in 26.
Okay.
We've been working at this a long time. Yet, you guys know we got insurance and all that stuff, so, and cost, as far as gates, automatic gates and stuff, that's up to you guys, we want to put that in, but, an automatic gate, I don't know how that's gonna work. If it's one code for everybody, then us as a club probably wouldn't have a lot of control on who's coming in and out to monitor it. But I think in time, that's gonna have to be some type of automatic gate. But to get it started in the test program to see what we're doing and what the consequences would be, I think the combination with our club, and like I said, future use of other clubs want to get it, they can get a hold of us, and it's okay with the town and the board and everybody for them to train there too, which I think would be great. We're willing to work with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are good comments. Especially, the gate system. Just kind of playing off that is unique.
Yeah.
Those are good points to bring up. With it, and I'll just bring up. So we've had the property, right? I've been with the town since 2016. And we used to have a lot of issues with people fishing on the property. And we would do the gate combos, and then we'd go out there to mow, and there'd be 2 trucks pulled up at the ponds and fishing. And it took a while to figure out what was going on. There was gate combos. The FFA was using the property, and that was allowed for ag. Well, the kids all got the combo, and the kids were going and fishing, and that's, those were other things happening prior to all this. Maybe this is why staff was a little sensitive to the property in a way, but, and this is nothing on the dog group. Those are great comments because I was picturing like the bike park, the gate opens up in the morning and closes again, but it probably wouldn't work if you're trying to keep it closed like that. So I don't know, just thinking out loud again.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of system where you give a unique code to each group that uses it, and there are systems that have a way to track that. So if somebody's accessing it outside of the time that they're supposed to be there with that code, then you change the code and you don't let that group in there because, or you know, those things are available. Those options are available. The technology is there.
Yeah, even with my rental, you know, a different person gets their own code every time they want into the building, and then their code is done when their time is done.
Right. Yeah. So there's ways to track those things, or you could give a unique code every time there's a reservation, and then that code expires. There's different systems for all of that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think, did we have another public comment?
Hi, my name is Jeff Miller. I live right down the street here in Bertha. I'm also a member of Platte Valley. I don't know why he didn't want to sit with me, but you know, we have a couple other properties we've had for 30-some years. Have great relationships with the landowners. You know, you guys have mentioned security. If we're out there, we're going to be keeping an eye on the place. We try to keep it clean. We take care of the properties we have access to. We don't want to lose them. We want to maintain good relationships. We're eyes and ears on a place that's kind of out of town a little bit. The lighting, we can't train when the dogs might be able to smell it, but we're not out there, so the lighting is not a huge concern for us. I can see where it might be for maybe like trail runners and stuff coming in after dark. But really, we don't need much. I mean, the parking lot is awesome. We don't have that at some of our other places. We just need access to it. We're ready to go. I could go get my stuff and be out there, meet you out there in 15 minutes and show you what we do. So we really encourage you to get us in there. My son is an avid disc golfer. He wants access to that as well. So he wants to pursue that. And I don't know if that's the right venue or not. I know there was a board member that said maybe that's not the right place. But we can share. We're all willing to get in there and just encourage you to let's find a way to get in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Keith, I do have a question.
Mhm.
Just curious. After, like, does Colorado Open Lands do like check-ins on properties?
Every year.
Okay, so they'll come and see, like, they'll say if they're concerned about social trails or the wetlands or. Okay.
All right. So I think,
That's all public comment?
do we have anything else that you need?
Oh, I had a question.
Mhm.
On the conceptual design. So you mentioned in that presentation the trails. Can we look at that map of the trails? 'Cause, I remember at one of the meetings we had talked about could we have a trail that goes all the way around the property, which is that I think on that west side right there.
Yeah, let me grab.
And-
this one.
Yeah, that farm access road in pink.
Mhm.
And then you just mentioned that would not be accessible to the public. Is there the possibility to make that accessible to the public, or to make a trail that goes all the way around? Because that would be really awesome if you had that available.
Mhm.
At least that's what I think. I don't know if you guys have any. I thought that's what we talked about, is having that be able to be accessed by the public.
Yeah, I can add that in there.
I think it would increase the trails quite a bit in terms of distance and usability.
Mhm.
Any other comments for this plan? Cloud, you're new to us, and we haven't had your input on anything. Anything?
Not really, because I'm kind of new to all of this, so I'm kind of just listening in and seeing what is happening here and what Port is wanting to do, what the town wants to do, like what you guys are agreeing on and stuff. So, I mean, I don't have any opinions so far.
Okay.
I have a question. Sorry, more questions. One question I have is if this dog training thing, if this is going to happen in 2026. Now that we've talked about the buildings, I guess my question would be, do those buildings need to come down, like for security reasons, for safety reasons, for visibility reasons, before the dog training groups are allowed access? And I don't know. I'm not expecting an answer. It's just a question I have. Is that something that needs to be considered, or is that something we need to be considering as a support committee? Or
I don't think we need to tear anything down if we're just doing trial dog training. Stuff.
All right. Anything else you need from us?
No, maybe I confused you all. I mean, I was trying to come today with just the comments the board, added to the conceptual design. We're gonna wrap it up in a way, going back to I was hoping, I was gonna come basically just say, here's what we want for the north side, and then here's what we're gonna do with the buildings. Here's what at this time. So hopefully I wasn't trying to ask you for a whole bunch of.
I think with that big list of things, we all got a little muddled because it felt like we were adding more things to it after it was kind of. I got from the board meeting to simplify it, and we're trying to do too many things at once in that property, and we're trying to put all this stuff together. And then I saw that big list of things, and I was like, oh goodness.
Yeah, and a lot of them are little things, but I was just trying to get you a better idea. At the board meeting, I was a little. I guess I was honestly surprised with, hey, let's try to move this thing forward quicker. And it's like, well, we've been doing the same process for years. We do a conceptual design, then we do it. And we have a lot of extra properties right now. And we don't want to set a precedent. I mean, we have another house somewhere. We have, multiple farm properties. We have requests for people to do things all the time on these properties. And they're not open yet. We want to fly the hot air balloon off the property. We want to parachute onto it. This is a great field. And old owner used to let us do things like this. And so, I mean, it's just, we're going through the process we're used to. This is unique in that it's, I guess we weren't expecting that. If we hear the staff hears, let's get it open. Okay, now we're going to jump on the construction documents and things like that. So. That's why this one, we don't want to set a precedent for like who's going to come in next with these other properties we own type thing. But
I think you're right. This is unique that it's not just it's a property that was served a purpose, and we're trying to honor that purpose. Mm-hmm. Whereas you have other people asking, oh, we want to do this on this property, or we want to do this on that property. And I don't think we have to honor all of that in terms of that's sort of what this property is for. My one question too would be, once we tear these buildings down, because they're in like the building envelope, if you want to build on that, we still can, correct?
Yep, you can, and it's the envelope.
If we tear down the apartment and then want to build restrooms on that spot, it's not
right. You can build
we can hold that spot as a building spot. It's not, once those buildings are gone, either you build on it or you don't.
Right, I think this bottom picture, this is the whole envelope down here. Yeah. I think it extends around.
That's the building envelope?
Yeah, I believe that's where we're allowed to do stuff at, basically.
Okay.
There's another little spot up here where the old chicken coop was. That's also another spot we can put a shade structure, possibly.
Right, that's been torn down for a while, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The chicken coop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have two questions. So you mentioned something earlier about how can trail walkers and dog training coexist?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still struggling with that, and I don't have any answers, but you guys in the audience, if you guys have been at other properties and had to manage that, or if you all have any suggestions, I mean, because I'm not a dog trainer person, but I would definitely walk the trails, and I've had bad dog experiences in my past. So what would that look like? Would that be like, you stick a sign out and say, you know, trails closed for dog training, or like,
Mm-hmm.
are your dogs nice enough? Because I've gotten bit by dogs in the past, so like I'm just curious because I'm fearing that if we let the dog trainers in and then the public starts coming in, then do we have to pull the dog training out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to give false hope that this is, but I also understand it's a pilot program, right? So we're just testing it out, and I can see the benefits of testing it out without people accessing the trail. But what happens when you do open it to the public and you've got a lot more traffic and you've got dog training? Like, how is that going to work?
Yep. And then we started talking. Or you're gonna ask them. Go ahead.
So some of the properties we use, there's other people around and stuff. We kind of just watch, and 99% of our dogs he'll stay there right here. They're well trained. To run these tests, they have to be. If you have a dog that is a fight dog, something like that, they're not allowed in our club. And I'm not going to say it's never going to happen. Because you can get bit by the tamest poodle in the world or something, get stepped on or whatever. But these dogs are all well trained, very obedient, and get back to what you were saying. I hate to see she designated this for dogs, and then all of a sudden, because the people on the trails take it over, and are the dogs just going to get kicked out? That definitely goes against her wishes. On what she donated the property for. So at that point, I think maybe you're right. Mondays and Wednesdays are dog training. The trails can be closed. That's something that just would have to be worked out with everybody.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, how can those two coexist? Because it would be nice if they could, right?
And the biggest thing is we see, when we're out training, somebody brings their dog over, and everybody has the best well-trained dog in the world. Their dog runs over to see our dogs, and then there's an issue. Our dogs are sitting right there because they are pretty well-trained, and somebody who thinks their dog's perfect comes over there and gets in their face. We have an issue, and that's where somebody's probably going to get bit if they do. Trying to break up a dog fight. But we've all worked with dogs a lot. We pretty much know how to handle them, and it's not like you're in a park where you got two people just with no control of their animals. So I think it is a concern, and it's something to think about. But we're definitely willing to work whatever we can with you. And if it is a deal where say there's 2 days a week or whatever for dog training, and we'll respect that.
So like Lawn Haggler, they have. I guess it's a trail, but it's up on the north. It's up on the dam. I mean, so I feel like the training grounds were separate in a way. I'm trying to think of other counties. I think in Boulder County or something. If you have a dog off leash, it has to be on an electric, collar device or something like that. So you have. I believe they even make you. Do they make you test for like voice command to make sure it's like? I don't think we.
Boulder County, they have to be licensed as voice command.
Yeah.
Or just, I guess that's a good point too, is like, if the dog training dogs are off leash, then like, what are the rules for on leash, off leash dogs? Like, are all dogs allowed to be off leash there then, if some of them are, or do you have to say, oh, dogs must be on a leash unless they're part of dog training? Like.
That's why it seems like separating the days is the easiest thing to do right now. But then it's how do you control that when it's Wednesday, now it's open, the property's fully open again, and the site will become known as a dog training site, and I can take my dog to get in the water. It's hot here. So I don't know if it happens at the reservoir with people taking their dogs and letting them swim or anything like that. I don't know if
I know like Union Reservoir in Longmont has a dog beach where dogs can be off leash, but it's a very specific area and they can only be off leash in that area. And if you have your dog otherwise, you have to have them on leash out there. So I mean, there's logistics to it for sure, and I think you know, your idea of separating the times, like having it be a dog training facility Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it's a reservation system, and then other days of the week, dogs need to be on leash out there. I think that that's reasonable. Otherwise, you just kind of everything's going to muddle together, and people are going to be training dogs when it's I mean, you have to have some separation of it, and with that fencing for now, we have that. It's only that happening out there, and if you have, you know, once it's open for trails, having it, maybe it's closed, you posted closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for dog training from these times or something like that, and then that way it's controlled.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, or we're getting into a lot of fencing.
Signage and fencing.
Yeah.
I just want to add something and suggest that it might be really interesting to go out and attend a demo or something. Both my parents were retriever dog trainers, and I went to so many dog trials as a kid, and they were small events, super, super controlled. And they were the handlers were always with their dogs. There was a zero tolerance for any dog that was not under control. They take them out of the cars, they go run their deal, and they put them back in their kennels. I mean, it's very, very controlled. I'm not promoting having two activities taking place at the same time, or trail runners and dogs, but I think maybe a demo, because I mean, it's a whole different type of dog. And we're all exposed to the public, and you know, there aren't bad dogs, there's basically bad owners, and they're everywhere. You know, we see misbehaved dogs, you know, every day, but it's really a totally different type of animal. And you know, the owners, in my observation, those dogs are always under their control. That's part of the sport, I guess. But a demo would be fun. I mean, I think it's cool to watch them.
There is a hunt test this coming weekend right over here at Still Roven Farms off County Road 5. It's not our club, but it's the same type of training. If you'd be interested in going and watching, seeing what it is. You're exactly right. You get the dog out of your vehicle, they're with you, you run your test. You might, you know, they queue up one or two so that it's efficient. You run your test and you put them away. It's not a free-for-all with dogs running here and there. They are obsessed with either the bumper or the bird. They are hyper-fixated on that, and that's all they want.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
My last question is for Keith, I guess. So what are the next steps for the conceptual design? Do you have to go back to Wink, or are we there? Or I guess what are the, are you gonna present something to the board, or like what's the?
I'm just gonna take this to give Wink their final, kind of polish this up a little bit. Probably put that parking diagram in there, in the big drawing instead of just as some little box. So get the parking in there, and then I don't know if we have to take it back to the board again to finalize anything, but I think we're going to get more direction in 2 weeks on exactly how 2026 should look. So, and that'll help us because we're just getting into budget stuff right now. So,
That was my only, just kind of broad comment, I guess, is that I wasn't expecting this in 2026. So if it can happen, I think that's great. In addition to the other things that we've been talking about, but if it's an instead of, I would just want to see what that looks like in 2026.
What was the holdup for the disc golf again?
why phase it? Make it a phase 2? Is that the question?
Or was there something holding up disc golf? Oh, was the seeding or the irrigation?
Yeah,
Um,
probably just
I'm
taking
fine with,
less to Colorado Open Lands to approve, and
Okay, like I'm fine with the disc golf. I was just wondering if
yeah.
if that's gonna take another 3 years to get approval, or because that property has a lot of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's got 62 shares and we're using like 1 or something.
Mhm.
So we could hypothetically, if the money was there for the irrigation, we could water that thing property up to accommodate disc golf, right?
Yeah.
If we had money for irrigation.
Yeah.
So that's not the holdup. It's not overburdening open lands with a whole bunch of stuff. It's just
Part of that.
or is open lands not okay with disc golf?
No, they're okay.
Okay.
But I would think
Okay.
it's also the cost,
It's the
right?
co-
Like,
You're talking
Yeah,
millions.
opening
and I
everything.
totally get that. If
Yeah,
it's a
I
cost
think
thing and
that's
it's like irrigation's going to be whatever,
part
a lot
of
of
it.
money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah, that's okay.
multi-millions to do the whole thing, and
Right.
Okay.
we already have lots of millions in the works.
Right. And it feels great right now to,
Lots of millions. That's a scientific term.
if we go to Colorado Open Lands, hey, here's what we're going to try to do first. Because they keep on bringing up we have to write some maintenance plan, and it'd be easy, but it's just when you add a third layer to it, it's like, okay, if you're gonna do that, now you need this and that. It does. I didn't have that realization to maybe phase it until the board brought it up. I was all like, hey, let's do it. You do it all at once, but
I'm fine with phasing. I just don't want disc golf to get like forgotten
Mhm.
either. Like I want to make sure it's still part of like the plan and that money. If the money eventually is there, that it's going to happen. And
Mhm.
so it sounds like it's still part of the plan. It sounds like Colorado Open Lands has approved it. So it's just a matter of time and money.
yes.
Okay. We move on to staff updates, or
At the next board meeting, which is next Tuesday, I think the presenter that did the golf presentation will be
Jeffrey McNair.
will be doing his presentation to the board. So
okay.
so you all know that. That was nothing moving on, just a report recommendation he presented to the board, so they're aware of that type of amenity as well. Have some port terms expiring tonight. Lauren and Carolyn. No, yep.
Mhm.
Lauren and Carolyn. Sorry. So Anna, I'll keep you posted on interviews. On any of those, it sounds like we have definitely enough people applied. So we'll be doing. I don't know if you guys haven't been informed of anything yet, interview wise, right?
Mm-mm.
Just so if you
There's 3 positions open.
correct. 22nd, we'll probably be interviewing Monday. If you applied and your application is in and all that. The North Trail, it's lagging on, and what's holding that up, that's the trail gap between Water Avenue and Tenney. What's holding up is the signal light, and they're just waiting on a couple pieces still. It keeps getting delayed. That's all. It sounds like end of September. They're supposed to stripe the crosswalk and some other things probably Friday. And then we're going to schedule getting some Jersey barriers installed along the bridge on Handy Ditch. And then the signal light. That's kind of the missing pieces. So, yeah, that's update with there. I brought up the board study session on the 16th, and we already talked about the Newell concept update. So, Amanda's not here anymore.
And then committee updates. Cloud, is there anything you'd like to? Well, first of all, I'd like to say welcome officially as our liaison to the Youth Advisory Commission. Is there anything you'd like to say?
That like relates to the port or just like in general?
How about both?
Well, I mean, we don't really have anything for like port per se. We haven't really been focusing on that. But like our general update is I did some digging to find out costs for the DC trip that we want to take in 2026 during our spring break. Trying to just get that presentation together, present it to the youth board, see how it looks, clean it up, finish it, polish it, and then present it to the town board to be like, hey, we want to do this thing. what can you pay for? What can you help with us? Blah blah blah. Da 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 da. And then we have people who signed up to be board members. So we did some recruitment. We have 7 this year, which is a lot for us. So we're gonna do that soon.
Great.
Small meetings, small update.
Well,
Can I-
welcome.
So is Audrey? Is she not in the youth advisory? Okay.
No, she has other priorities
Okay.
at the moment.
Understood. Yeah.
Carrie,
Welcome.
any committee updates?
Nope, none for me.
No. Callie, any
No
updates?
updates from me.
Carrie?
Yes, I just have a question, Keith, which is maybe a loaded one. In reference to Richardson, Chris has made it seem like the pool could potentially be part of phase 1 over there. That financially they might be able to make that work. The question that I asked to Chris, which didn't quite get answered, is we were always told because of like dirt work and engineering and etc., it couldn't be done first. So has something changed as far as that goes?
I'm not in that project like they are.
Okay.
With the construction documents and everything. So I'm trying to just piece back to that meeting too, because was the idea that you try to get a ball fields and pool and just focus on
Yeah.
those, right?
Yeah. All at once.
So they're saying the meeting basically said that because of in light of new funding options that are now available, that the COP might be an option, which they did not think was an option before in terms of funding, that we suddenly could have Richardson Park and the pool by 2027. And I think Carolyn and I have discussed and kind of that we asked for that originally and were told that it wasn't doable because of the way that the park needed to be developed. But now that we have this funding option, all of a sudden it's an option and we can get everything done at once. And so I think because of the timeline that we were given originally, that was what spurred the survey and delays and all of this. And it just kind of hinders back to, had we been given that option to begin with, that I think things would have gone a lot differently. And is that really an option?
Right. I agree. That was new to me in August when
Did you know before the flyer came in the mail? We
no.
sure didn't.
No.
We did not.
No, that was also news to me as well. So, the priority in my head still is just removing, pool design and arboretum. And then I guess the funding things got brought up, and then they got the pricing back for the pool design, what that would take. And that was, I believe, was going to be updated to the board to share those things. And maybe it would have went further if it wasn't already 10:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night. I'm not sure, but I think the update was just to share those things, and then.
I watched the meeting. I mean, I was glad I didn't attend because it was so late and there was so much content. And it was really unfortunate that this came up at the end of the night. But I was left really confused, maybe skeptical about the town administrator's position because it was very different than we had been hearing.
Mhm.
We were being fed information about the price of it and, that the pool was 10 years off, 8 years off. So I was taken aback that so much effort had gone into it and we got this whole different scenario and it made me wonder who's got the skin in the game. Maybe, we know Chris supports it, but
Well,
it just didn't feel like a real transparent process to have that information come up when we had put good effort and time into.
Yeah, that's what I felt the worst about is that we had put so much time and effort into it, and it was like, well, why?
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Is why did we even go down this path of a pool at the rec center? Those documents cost a lot of money to have made. the multiple design meetings, if it was always an option to open a pool in the next couple of years at Richardson. Like, that was really the, like,
Yeah, I believe Chris's comments were he just found out about that funding thing like a few weeks.
But the funding isn't the end of it. I think that's the frustration. Is the funding is one piece of it. We talked in hypotheticals originally, but we were literally told that it physically couldn't be done.
yeah, it's two. The funding is
Physically
one
could
thing,
not
but
be
the
done.
actual, like, doing a pool in phase one, because we asked, like, can we move the
Yes.
pool to the top of the property? How can we do this so the pool happens 1st?
Mhm.
And in multiple meetings, we were told, because of the grading of the property and the drainage, and we have to complete everything up top first.
North to south.
So that's the question that he did not answer that night that I, so that's my other question. The funding is one thing, and yes, why wasn't that? When we came back and said, we want a pool in the next couple of years, how can we make this happen? Why wasn't other funding options explored then instead of the whole path of the survey in Wagner? So, like, why wasn't other funding options thought about previously? And then also, then the second thing is, can the pool really be done right away, or is that what we're being told? And the ball fields are going to be done, and the pool will be
8 to 10 years.
much further down the road.
I think that's another reason to request that port. be
Right,
part of this
exactly,
meeting
yeah,
coming up in
yeah.
2 weeks. So
And I mean, I
get some
think
clarity.
personally, I will certainly be there, whether or not, in what capacity is up to
Whether it's in a public
the
comment
town.
capacity
Yeah.
or
But,
being part of the meeting.
But the last joint port committee trustee meeting that I was referring
Thank you.
to from
Last year.
October 2024, that said Arboretum and pool are a priority. Those were the top two.
Yeah, I think that was brought up at the meeting also. It's like, why are we back to square one in terms of priorities?
Yep.
And somebody, I think it was Will, that asked that specific question. He said, didn't we say Arboretum and outdoor pool? He was,
Yes, this
he
was-
expressed surprise that, why is this topic coming up that it's wide open to reprioritizing that?
And the priority was also to follow the port survey.
Yeah.
Right.
Was like, use that as your priority list to help staff. Right.
Oh, are you asking me the question?
No,
No.
Sorry.
no, I just,
I'm like,
it seems like we all had, we were taken aback
Yeah.
by, going backwards on something that, we've been asked to put effort into and communicate and put a lot of careful thought into.
Mhm.
And felt like we were just left out of a loop that had started, discussions that had started somewhere.
Behind closed doors.
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, Chris, he always says, we can do that, we can do that. I mean, he talks a good line, right? And so he stands up and says, well, we can make this. Yeah, if you say we should do it, we'll do it. It just left everything, it seemed like it left everything in the balance and it was confusing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I've been along for the ride as well. So as the part of the project I'm on the Arboretum, that's moving forward still as planned. I think the holdup was the pool design cost maybe was greater than expected and took longer to negotiate to where it's at now.
Well, but I mean, it wasn't exponentially more than what we had anticipated, and and that was the whole thing. Like when we received that flyer in the mail that nobody was aware of, the funding or the costs on there were completely different than what was discussed between Port Committee and the board a year ago or 6 months ago. And so it felt like all of a sudden everything had changed and it was this whole new plan. And so, initially I myself had posted on social media to try to get people to come to the meeting and be involved. And my comments, because I didn't know any of that information, knowing what I had known from being in meetings and work sessions and study sessions and attending board meetings, this wasn't an option, and then all of a sudden I come to the meeting or the board meeting and find out, oh, it is an option and this is what we can do, and it kind of makes us look like we don't know what we're doing. So that was frustrating for me. Is that I went with the information that I had from all of these meetings and all of these hours spent
Make the best decision.
to make the to make the best decision, and then come to find out that all of these things are happening in the background, and they're still working towards other goals that aren't what maybe we've set forth, and then we get made to look like we don't know what we're talking about.
I don't think there's too much happening in the background. There's
mean-
getting the pool design cost, and then
The change from it being a $70-80 million project to it being a $40 million project, and being able to be done in 8 to 10 years versus being done in 2 years, that was all new information to us.
yeah, and I'm only assuming because I like I said as I get fed Richardson as it's like coming to port and stuff like that. So I assume that Richardson, when they're talking the cost of it, I'm assuming it's 2 ball fields instead of 4 ball fields or 6 ball fields.
So
And
that's a point of clarity that might be good too, is that the $40 million price tag, from my understanding, is phase 1. So again, we're back to, we were looking at total cost of a project at the 82 million,
Yeah.
84 million, something like that. And then that was a hard pill to swallow, but now we're saying, oh, it's going to be 45 million. Well, it's only 45 million for phase 1, or 47 million, or whatever that flyer said was for phase 1, but it's not cut and dried or crystal clear as to what is included in phase 1. We've not seen anything in terms
So
of
where are
that.
the numbers even coming from?
Yeah.
It could be totally made up. How
Well,
can we
they-
verify what's on that form?
And yeah,
They're not. They were talked about at the board meeting as the numbers.
yeah,
But I don't
mean,
know what those numbers correlate to, because there wasn't any discussion of 47 million gets you X, Y, Z. It was like, well, we can do the pool and the ball fields for 47 million, but really it was, my understanding is that it was maybe phase 1 of that, which I don't understand what's involved in phase 1. So there was a lot of,
So having an understanding of the numbers is important
right,
as one piece.
right, and
that's not
understand
really-
what that
But
includes.
that's not necessarily Port's deal, right? It's
But it does change the priorities. Like if you're saying it's an $80 million project or it's a $40 million project, I think that does change how we look at it and what we see as priorities for the town. And so I think knowing what $40 million gets you is also very important. And so I think that's part of what that study session will involve. And I think that's something that again, we keep saying we would really like to be involved in. And so however we can throw our hat in the ring in terms of that. But yeah, again, like I said, it was a lot of, we thought it was things could be done one way. And so we tried to make something work that would help. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we can do all these other things. And so I just think it'll be interesting to see what comes from the study session, and if we can be involved in that, I would really encourage us to attend that.
I told you I was opening a can of worms.
That was a little.
Yeah,
it was, and I'm
Really,
sorry.
I just wanted to know if you knew if something had changed construction-wise, that now the pool could be done in the first phase, but you do not know that information.
I do not.
So,
If I had any idea, I'd let you know. But
but at the same time we have a pool plan for at the rec center. So that we've been working on.
and we had
So does it need to go to the first phase at Richardson, or we've been working on this rec center plan?
well, I mean, that's the thing. Ultimately,
Right?
it's
Like-
not up to us. So,
And that's part of what that study session is to decide, is do you proceed with the pool at Richardson Park, or do you proceed, or the pool at the rec center, or do you keep going full bore at getting Richardson Park built? And if you can get Richardson Park built in 2 years with the pool, then is that the more reasonable option, because that's putting all of our eggs in that basket. We probably wouldn't be able to do the rec center pool and Richardson Park, and so I think that's part of that study session, being involved in that,
And the Arboretum.
and the Arboretum.
which again, that all comes down to numbers that we don't know in detail. So, I'm sure that will be reveal that this, because I looked at the town budget and there's like 57 pages of all sorts of things that were very hard to figure out. Like, this didn't really help me to see how much does the town have to spend on parks. There were a lot of line items.
Do they want to spend on parks?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Anna, do you have any updates?
Yes. Shout out to Keith.
What?
Shout out to Keith. Thank you for making the left-hand turn lane at the Berthoud Rec Center.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when you come from, what's the street?
Bunyan?
Bunyan. You take a left into the Berthoud Rec Center. There was never actually a left-hand turn lane. You just kind of.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know you were part of that club, but there was.
Big fan. So thank you.
We had. I got. I had one resident let me know. And this was late last year, and I was like, "Well, striping will happen in 2025. We'll put it on there." And striping has been going on the last few weeks, so yeah. And that was right. That's the coordination. Like Vantage did the road, we put the rec center in later. Oh wait, we forgot to make the turn lane official. Yeah.
Yeah. And then appreciate all the work you're continuing to do on the sidewalks. I can see some work on 4th Street being done right now, so thanks for continuing with all of that as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll give a shout out to we hired Daniel Buendia. He's our new public works project engineer. So he gets to pretty much all the projects are now on him. He's managing them, taking care of them. So he's doing a great job. He's been here since kind of middle of July. And yeah. He's running all those things now. So, yeah, if you got project questions, we're kind of the basic public works projects, I'd say. But he's going to be the person to talk to now. So, sidewalks and things like that. Thank you.
Michael, any updates?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. And with that, motion to adjourn.
I will motion.
I'll say.